We're talking about abstract class. So for abstract class, now let's do the theoretical framework. Abstract class is a class that contains at least one abstract method. If a class contains at least one abstract method, it becomes an abstract class. And once the class contains one abstract method, you'll be forced to what? Make the class what? Abstract. Now what do you mean by abstract method? Abstract method is nothing but what? A method without body. You just declare it, or a method prototype. So you do that one in the abstract class. And again, abstract classes cannot be instantiated. They cannot be instantiated. What do you mean by instantiated? You know the methods. Abstract classes contain what? Abstract methods. And the methods don't have any body. So if you create an instance of that class and you call that method, what's that method coming to do? The method doesn't have any definition. So that's why they made that rule that abstract class cannot be what? Instantiated. Because those methods in there do not have any meaning. They are just foundations with nothing on top of them. That's why you don't instantiate an abstract class. One will ask, what about interface? Interface also contains what? Abstract methods. So why then would one use abstract class over an interface? Now, we know in Java, we cannot what? Do multiple inheritance when it comes to classes. So that's why interfaces are there, for us to create those abstract methods and inherit from or implement more than one what? Interfaces. But abstract classes are there to help us to force some people. Let me say, assuming you are creating an employee management system or enterprise management system. And in that enterprise, you know the salary of every worker is different. The salary of every worker is different. Right from the security man to the CEO, they all take different salary. So if you are developing an application like that, I want the salary to be different for each worker or each employee. So I'll create my base class, abstract employee class. Then I'll make the salary method, calculate salary method, abstract. So that any class which implement from the employee class is supposed to what? Define the salary for each worker. Are you getting it? For each worker. I'll make the abstract method maybe calculate salary. I'll make it what? Abstract. Because as at now, I cannot say every employee will have the same what? Salary. It will depend on what? The level and the kind of employee that we are creating. So if I create an employee class and give it an abstract method and make it abstract, you'll be forced to what? Extend from that class. Now when you extend from that class, you'll be forced to what? Implement all the abstract methods. So it's not only interface which forces to implement abstract methods. Abstract classes also forces the class which extend from it to what? Implement it. Let's see an example. I'll create this employee class. Employee this is a normal class. We said that an abstract class is any class that contains at least one abstract method. So I want to make this method abstract. So public abstract calculate salary. So I've created this method. And you know abstract methods don't have body. Immediately this method or this class contains an abstract method. Look at the error that we are getting. Look at the error we are getting. The abstract method calc salaries of type employee can only be defined by an abstract what? Class. If that's not what you intend to do, then give it a return type and give it a body and remove the what? Abstract from there. So any class that contains at least one abstract method is automatically what? Or must be made what? An abstract class. So how do you make an abstract class? You just have to put the abstract keyword. Abstract keyword in front of the what? The class. So once we've made this salary abstract, it means any employee type that extends from this class must do what? Override this method, or must implement it by overriding it. So now, extend, yes. You have to extend this class. So you create, assume you create full-time employee. Full-time employee. The last time I told you can extend from here. So I'll just type employee. And always check the package, com.what, and make sure that you are importing from the right what package. If you are in the same package and you don't extend, you are not an employee. Inheritance is inheritance, irrespective of where you are. You can inherit from anywhere. Once you're in the package doesn't mean you can't inherit. You can't create an instance of, let me finish with the inheritance. Now when I inherit, it automatically overrides the what? Calculate what? Salary for me. Now, here, when I create a test class for it, when I create a test class, let's just try and create an instance of the what? The employee class. I'll create employee. I'm trying to, let me finish. And the normal circumstance, this is how you're supposed to what? Create an object of a class. This is an employee class, but you are getting an error. And let's read an error. The error cannot instantiate the type what? Employee, because it's what? An abstract class. And the reason I cannot instantiate is that this employee has this abstract method which has not been defined. So even if you are allowed to instantiate this class and we say employee dot calculate salary, which method are we calling, or which body of the method? There's no implementation. So that's why I say you cannot instantiate an abstract class. Now, to use an abstract class is kind of like forcing someone to do something. You are enforcing a method on someone, just like the interface. If I have something and I want all my generation to have that feature, I will make myself an abstract class, and that method I want it to be present in every child. I make that method what? Abstract. Meaning anytime you get there, you must what? Implement that method. So here you have a full-time employee. So the full-time employee, let me give you some data members. So protected, and note, we can mess with the wrapper class. When you interchange it, you will not get an error, provided you are following the boxing and what? Unboxing relationship. Boxing is what? From what? Primitive to wrapping the what? Primitive to what? Wrapper. Then unboxing is from what? Wrapper to what? Primitive. So here, if I want to set the salary, I want to set the salary for the full-time employee. Because I've made it protected, I can easily have access to it here. So I just say salary is equal to 1,000 times maybe 34. Then I'll return salary. So if the person is a full-time employee, he'll have this salary. Or let me just make it, and this one will be 34,000. If I create another employee, CEO, so that one's full-time, as in part-time employee. Part-time employee. I didn't inherit extend from there. I'm coming to do it programmatically. So extends employee, which is what? An abstract class. Always make sure you check that you are importing from the right package. Because you are in the same package, you didn't see what? Any import statement. You are in the same package, so there's no need for what? Any import statement. Because there's an abstract class, you are supposed to do what? Override the what? Abstract method in that abstract class. So you can just type the name if you know it automatically, or you click on this red error notifier, then add unimplemented methods, enter. It will bring all those methods for you. Now, with this part-time employee, because the person is part-time, we set the salary to maybe 500 Ghana and return salary. So when here, we already discussed about what? Getter and setter. So I'll generate a getter and setter for what? For this salary. I'll show you the shortcut. To generate a getter and setter, you just right click, you go to source, generate getter and setter. Click on it. It will ask you if there are more than one, which one do you want to generate? Or you can be specific if only you want get salary or what? Set salary. For this, I want both, so I'll just select all. Then okay, it will generate this for me. To generate it for you. Now that it has generated this for me, I want to test my classes. I'll create full-time employee FT is equal to new full-time employee. You see that the full-time is what? A concrete class. If a class is not abstract, final, or static, it's a concrete class. A concrete class is just a normal class. So there was no error here. I can just say sys out and say ft dot get salary. It will return as what? The salary. I'll do the same for the other employee part-time. PT is equal to new part-time employee. And now I'll print it out. PT dot get salary. So this one also gets me the what? The salary. When you run it, you see it return as okay. At the moment, there's nothing in it. The last time I talked about default values for each data type. Because there's double and you didn't pass any data, you are getting what? 0, 0. If you want to initialize it, okay, we didn't call the method rather. I was supposed to call the method. I was supposed to call the method. So let me just say calc salary instead of the get salary, because you are not setting the salary in the calc salary. This time it's giving us the what? The right salary. It's giving us the right salary. So this is the abstract class. Now, so one will ask, when should I use an abstract class and when should I use an interface? As I said, you can just you can just you can just force someone to do something by giving those people what? Abstract class. That one they don't have any option than to what? Extend from that class. There are situations where your class has already extended from a different class. And you know in Java you can have multiple inheritance for classes. So if your class has already extended from a different class, then you don't have an option to extend from another class. Even if that class is an abstract class. The only option you have left is what? To implement an interface. So usually as you progress, you'll be seeing that in most of the APIs or the framework that we'll be learning, they usually have abstract class version and what? An interface version. So depending on your case, if your class has already extended from a different class, then you can use an abstract class. But now, now for abstract classes, they can also contain normal methods. You can see this is a normal method. I can create a normal method. This is a normal method. This is a normal method. So this is how it works. Sometimes you will be working with someone and you don't know what the person will need. So you implement some parts of what the person will need. So those ones will go into the what? The normal methods. Like calculating maybe user or health records. Your health records. You know, status like HIV status is very confidential. So someone asks you to, maybe you're a developer, you have another developer, you're working with a colleague at a different place. You write a class for him, you implement everything. But the status of the HIV, that one you don't know. So you want your colleague to what? Implement it. So you make that method what? An abstract method. And once you make it an abstract method, the class becomes an abstract. So you force that person to what? Inherit from what? The abstract method, abstract class, and implement that method. Even though you have fully fledged normal methods in the what? Abstract class. This is just a normal class. It can contain everything it has. The employee. It can contain its constructor. Everything that you do in a normal class can be done here. Just that it has an abstract method added to it. And once it has this, you are telling whoever is interested in this class that if you extend from this class, you must implement this method. I'm forcing you to implement it. Assuming I have an interface here, I call the interface I employee. I employee. It also has set by default all methods in interface are what? Public abstract. They are public abstract by default. So if I say double CAC salary, the public abstract is appended for me internally. I don't have to type it. When I type it, it will not be wrong. But don't waste your time on it. It will accept it. But there's no point in doing it. If you don't bring it, it will be inserted for you. So this method, for now, let me just leave it. This method is here. This is the same as this method. This is the same here. Just that because it's an abstract class, it has the power to add extra methods. But you can write a full method in what? An interface. You can say void ed something like this. This is not accepted in an interface. It only takes what? Method signature or prototypes. So that's it. Now I'll create a human class. Then I'll create another class. Smart human. This smart human is extended from what? Human class. This smart human is extended from what? The human class. Now, this smart human happens to be an employee. I want this smart human. It happens to be an employee. So it needs the what? The calculate salary method. Now you are left with two options. Either we extend from what? This abstract class so that we can override this what? Calculate salary. Or we implement for what? IEmployee. So that we can have this method in our what? Smart human. But when you go to the smart human, it has already extended from what? Human class. And we know that in Java, a class cannot extend from more than one what? Class. So we are left with only one option. The option of inheriting from the employee class is out. So you don't have any other option than to do what? Implement the what? Interface, which will achieve the same result. So for this smart human, the only option that we are left with is to implement IEmployee. And as with any abstract method, whether being an interface or an abstract class, you must always what? Override that method. So you just have to click add on implemented methods, enter. Then we give our definition here. So this is one scenario in which you have to choose an interface of what? An abstract class. When you're already locked by inheriting from a different class before making a decision to go and join another class, that one you don't have any option than to go the what? Interface way.